My cat decided I'm done studying.
I usually crawl out of bed like right before I have to start working. Like an old woman without prospects. Sorry, I'm watching too much Bridgerton. Good morning. I'm trying to be a lot better. Sorry, you're in my cupboard. I'm trying to be a lot better about my home office days because I stay in, like, I work 40 hours a week, but I stay in home office about 3 days a week. Most of the time it's 3 days a week. And I am wasting away that life that home office gives me back. Because usually I have to go to work by about an hour by public transport. I use that time to read, usually. So I get up at 7 and I get myself ready, and then I'll get to work and I'll read, and I'm there around 9:30, and then I can leave around 6-ish. So, you know, and then I get to drive back home for an hour, and then I'm home, and then I cook, and then I don't know, waste my evening away, usually. And if I stay in home office, I usually crawl out of bed like right before I have to start working, and I just roll out and I open my laptop and I'm in work mode straight away. Which I know, and I have noticed lately, is not healthy, is not good for me. I don't feel good doing that. So I actually also watched back a few of my older videos and some of my vlogs, and I rediscovered that era I had where I would get up early, make myself some tea, do a Pilates workout or yoga or stretching or something for my body in the morning, then get myself ready and start working. And I know I was a bit happier in that time. When it comes to like my daily structures. So that's what we're trying to get back to. Also, I haven't done a vlog in forever. So this is my attempt to do a vlog again. So what's the plan for today? I did get up a tiny bit early, so I'll be reading some and then work 8 hours. And then maybe tonight I'll film a video, because I have planned something like 1-star reviews on Goodreads, which that should be fun. So yeah, talk soon. Coming from the kitchen in the morning, the living room always feels so sad because the kitchen gets all this glorious morning sunshine and then the living room looks like it's 5 p.m. But I just, before I start working, wanted to give you a quick update on my progress of In Defense of Witches. And am I the only one who always gets this intense female rage when reading feminist literature? I mean, I guess that's exactly what it's supposed to create, but sometimes that feels so heavy. So right now I'm on chapter 2, and chapter 2 discusses mostly how women who don't choose children or who choose not to have children are very much disadvantaged by society. And honestly, I thought that we have come a long way, but if I just look around myself and if I just look around Germany, I still see so much of this pressure towards women to bear children, and how you're already a little bit of a disgrace to womanhood if you choose not to have children, and how having a child is always congratulated and how not having a child is always questioned. Like, always. If you ever say the sentence, "I do not want children," as a woman, there will always be someone like, why? Oh, it's the greatest gift in life, and oh, you don't know that, you haven't met the right one yet. And the book really discusses where like most of that stems from. It's funny because I always imagine myself as someone who reads at home, curled up somewhere cozy, but realistically trains and buses are where I get most of my pages in.
work, I spend most of my time writing, which I love, but it also really tires me out. And I think that's why I've been barely creatively writing in my free time. I kind of miss it. I'll be honest, I do envy people who manage to read like 15 books a month while working full time. I know comparison is the thief of joy, but sometimes it still gets to me. After work, I often end up in a bookstore, usually bridging the time because my train is late again. Most of the time, I take pictures though, instead of buying something. I'm done with the work day. And that means I'm done with the work week because it's Friday evening. We have so much to do at the moment and I'm just always like tired. So work week is over. It's time for fun now, and also studying because I have an exam in a month, like in exactly a month coming up, and I've not done shit this semester. Like I haven't done the semester basically, which I really need to get better about this because I do work full time and then I do study in an online university, so that is a state university, but it's just like fully remote. And the thing is, you don't have to attend anything, which therefore means you have to organize yourself entirely, make your own timing, and I am really bad at this. Which is why a month and a half before the exam, I started to like do the coursework. Yesterday evening, or like the past few evenings looked like kind of like this, because my partner also has to study for her exams. So right now I'm very deep into the topic how the Oedipus or Oedipus, I think is the English pronunciation, how that antique saga developed from like, well, the antique with Aristotle to the time of like French Revolution, or like shortly before the French Revolution. And basically they've just rewritten the whole story. It's not the original anymore. But they tended to do that. Oedipus, obviously in the original, is a very faulty character, and in the time of the French monarchy, like in like the time of like Louis the 14th, like the crazy king, you know, they were not allowed to like criticize a king in a play or in anything that was published basically. So having an Oedipus character was really difficult, and they obviously had to rewrite the whole thing because Oedipus was not allowed to be as faulty in a king's position as he was in the original from Aristotle or Seneca from the Roman times. Yeah, anyways, I just finished chapter 3 of In Defense of Witches, which I have been loving this. I think I've mentioned that once or twice in this vlog. Actually, this is like the only book I'm reading at the moment, but I want to start with Game of Thrones today. I finished the 3rd chapter, and the 3rd chapter in this book was about the stereotype of the old witch, like really wrinkly old woman, usually a widow or single or no children, like an old woman without prospects. Sorry, I'm watching too much Bridgerton. So yeah, the old lady with the long grey curls who's living on her own, this kind of stereotype. And we're talking about where this comes from and why these types of women were especially affected when it was like the high times of the witch hunts and the... Okay, back with a second take because my camera died in the middle of that last take. I put my thoughts down in my notes app because sometimes I feel like it's a bit easier to write it down, and then I'm a bit more able to form a coherent English sentence. So that chapter that I last read of In Defense of Witches was all about fertility, beauty, or like rather attractiveness, not even beauty, and like the sexuality of women, but like after a certain age. So basically after menopause, when they like lose their fertility. When women weren't able to or aren't able to reproduce anymore, and they haven't had children, or they didn't choose to occupy like a motherly role as a teacher or a nurse, for example, that basically in a patriarchal society lost them all of their worth. Of course, women nowadays are able to work for themselves and like don't have to take up a motherly role in any kind of way, and they're allowed to grow old on their own. They don't have to marry. Like a woman is a person just for themselves in the 21st century. Well, let's be real for a second. I'm not even 25, and I have had to endure the comments about, oh, when's gonna be your time? When can we expect a little baby? And remember, your clock is running, and when are you gonna have that baby? I'm not even sure I want babies. That's the kind of thing I mean. Like, I'm already being reduced to basically the time I have to produce a baby. I'm already being reduced to my fertility. All that being said, because these women back in the day of the witch hunts were basically without value after their menopause, that gave male authorities a reason to make them a main focus group of the witch hunts. The fact that the old independent woman was a main target of the witch hunts has led to kind of a taboo, basically, of women showing signs of aging. I mean, that is a topic you have. Some women have made it their full-time job to not show signs of aging. I mean, Google the word anti-aging. But even further than that, women after a certain age, or basically after their menopause, after they lose their ability to procreate, are not expected or are not wanted to show signs of sexuality, of lust, beauty, of attractiveness, because they have been ruled out of this category altogether. Because if it's not to reproduce, why are you doing that? Or especially infuriating was that the chapter also showed how men are not viewed in the same way. Like, there's so many men who still produce children after the age of 50, 60, 70 even. It's literally proven that men start losing their fertility. Alright, I'm talking myself into a rage. This is not supposed to be a full social discussion, so I'm reining myself in here. Spinning it back to the long hair. So long hair was also a sign of youth. It was a sign of, well, attractiveness, of sexuality, of youth, basically. Of youth and fertility. And as soon as the hair starts graying, there typically is a thing that it also starts to, well, frizz a little bit. Anyways, what this chapter made me think was, I want to be an old woman with long grey hair, and I want to argue with every man that comes across my way. Or not argue with them, but just like be so indifferent about them. Hello, coming to you with a little Sunday update. I've just started reading A Game of Thrones. As you can see, I've barely made any progress. I've read like 40 pages. And oh my god, I'm already so immersed back into the story. I love the way George R.R. Martin spends so much time on descriptions. And actually, I am thinking about if I really want to read them in German. Because like the last time I started reading the series, I was a lot younger. I was like 15, 16. My English skills have very much developed since then. And reading this in German, I am pretty sure I could just read it in English instead. And I always try to read things in English if they were originally published or written in English, because I feel like you're a bit closer to the story then. And the thing is, I have the first 7 books in German already. But I've checked, and you can, like, the resale value is fine-ish. So I'm really thinking about selling the German versions and getting the English ones. And also, it's just less books, and the English versions are gorgeous. And I could just get like the five books from the original series and the next 2 already as well. And we all know if George R.R. Martin manages to publish the next book or like finish the story, it will first be there in English. I don't want to get the last one in English or wait for the German translation if I've read all the German books before. So, I don't know. I'm really thinking about changing them. For the English version. What do you think? I'm not sure. Anyways, I spent most of the weekend just chilling because the work week was quite stressful and I didn't really do anything. If you've actually made it through the whole vlog, leave me a sword emoji in the comments, because you know. And maybe let me know if you would switch to the English versions, because I do think my English skills have developed enough to actually read that series in English. I feel like I would enjoy it a little more. Enjoy some footage of my cat.